Here and welcome to the final edition of my Pokemon tier lists, at least for ranking the Pokemon themselves. I might have like a short that just shows the full tier list if I throw everything onto one. Um, and I might do some if there's like different other parts of Pokemon, like characters or something that people want me to rank, then I'll do those. But for now, I'm just going to do the rest of the Pokemon, which is I believe this will include everything. I have Megas, I have Gigantimax, and I have Hisuian Forms. Um, and I believe that's all that I've been missing. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, or I'll see it on the tier list once I throw everything together. But for yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Um, First, I have to edit this, of course. Uh, so it's mid, bad, decent, great. I forgot to change all these, so I'm going to have to do this every time. In fact, let's just go over and so yeah, what's going to make this tier list particularly hard is that these are changes from previous Pokemon. So it's more in line with just three solid tier lists of like Alola forms than anything else, which does in a way make it kind of challenging because how how do I sort this? Like, do I go based off of the design itself? Because if there's a Pokemon I really like, then that'd be very beneficial. Um, did I say this wrong? Uh, Decent. This is decent. This is mid. Yeah. But if there's a Pokemon I really like, I could choose it based off like whether I like the original design. Um, and that feels kind of disingenuous. But at the same time, so does so does putting a Pokemon low just because I don't like the original design, even if it's an objective improvement. Um, oh, whoops. That's the wrong one. Anyway, I'm just gonna go based off of vibes in the moment. So we'll just have to see how it goes. Starting with Megas. Man, so many of these are from Kanto, just looking at everything. Oh boy. Um, so we have the original starters, Mega Venusaur, both Mega Charizards, and Mega Blastoise. So I'm just gonna get this one out of the way. This one is obvious. If you don't think Mega Charizard X is an excellent, you're just biased. Um, like I think we went over this. Charizard is my least favorite of the three Kanto starters, and even I can see just like this is both just an amazing design and an extreme improvement from the original Charizard. Like this is just so cool. I used to be one of the contrarians who liked Charizard Y more, but nowadays I'm not even sure if I like Mega Charizard Y over the original Charizard. Just because the weird pointy head thing that doesn't really make any sense and doesn't look that good. um, I'd say Mega Venusaur is pretty great. Um, it's very similar to normal Venusaur, but I think there's enough of a change, like how this is like actually a proper tree growing out of its back with like foliage on top, and it's got like the flower on the head now. Um, but it keeps what people love about Venusaur without getting too over the top with it. Um, I'll put Blastoise there too. Um, just the the addition of one cannon that's just super big and the shell growing out over its arms where the other two cannons are now stored. I think it looks pretty solid like that. It really makes it feel it's hard to say what it makes it feel like, but it just feels like it keeps the essence of Blastoise um, without making it too over the top. And Mega Charizard Y is going to go down in decent. I mean, it really is basically just Charizard. Um, it just has the weird pointy head thing, and I think that's a detriment even to the original Charizard. So honestly, this is one that could probably get on a mid if I was doing solely based off of whether it's like it, but based off of how good I think the changes are. But I think it's fine enough there to put it into decent. Um, Mega Beedrill. I think this one's actually a really great one as well. Um, it almost feels like a lot more robotic of a version of Beedrill, and just how linear everything is. Um, it really makes it feel sort of sort of fake, but in like a good way. Like it feels like it's inorganic. Um, I'm blanking on the specific word I want to use to describe it, but um, overall, I just think that it's a really strong design that improves on bee drills, which is basically just a bee with drill arms. This even gets like more stingers. This has like five now. Like if you count the drills as stingers, then it has five of them, which is crazy. Um, Mega Pidgeot, I'd say is pretty solid. I'm not a big fan of the original Pidgeot, but I think this one makes it look really majestic and has a lot of color to it, which I'm a big fan of. And then the like hair on the top looks a lot more. Um, I feel like it's a lot more. It's a lot better at getting a lot across than just having like the hair just continue to grow and grow. Um, Although is that what that's doing right there? I don't know if that's supposed to be hair there. Um, I'm not too familiar with this thing's mega design. I'm just going off of what I see. Um, yeah, I think it's a really good design that has a couple of minor improvements that just make it look even better than it did. Alakazam. Um, I'd say pretty decent. It I don't think it looks as good as normal Alakazam, but I can see the vision they were going with of like the old bearded sage that meditates and has and controls spoons with telekinesis now, or at least levitates them with telekinesis. I suppose it always manipulated them with telekinesis, but yeah. Um, yeah, I like the old sage look, but I don't think it's particularly better than the original. It's just like a pretty decent design. Um, Mega Slowbro is weird because it's kind of goofy. And sometimes I like things that are really goofy. This one doesn't really work as well for me. Probably put it down in mid. It just feels like it's a bit too much. Um, like the idea of Slowbro is that its tail's being bitten on by this like shell thing. Um, but I don't know. It's just like almost fully encompassing the Slowbro. It just feels like a weird direction to take, and like I guess I guess it is the natural direction of it, but it just doesn't really work for me. Mega Gengar is great. Sorry. But yeah, Mega Gengar is great. It really has the like trolley personality of like Gengar plastered more into a body type of Haunter, which I already like Haunter more, so this is a huge improvement for me. But yeah, this thing it looks a whole lot better for it, so I'm all for it. And it's got like the aura color, like of it turning like pinkish red around the hands and lower part of the body. I think that's really cool. And of course, the shiny colors are so much better. Oh my gosh, Haunter and Gengar have terrible shinies, but the Gengar Mega turning white is just beautiful. Mega Kangaskhan is one which is goofy in like a better way. Um, I quite like it. I will play above Pidgeot. It doesn't like change design at all. The kid just comes out and helps fight, and I think that's so funny. I'm a big fan of when the whole of when extended family lines become a thing. Like with Dragapult, it just shoots off its children. That's so funny, and I think that makes for great gameplay and great design. Mega Pincer looks really good, I'd say. Um, it's got like energy almost emanating off of it. It's got the wings now. It's got the like the soulless eyes, or like the extremely angry eyes going on. Its pincers are even longer and more elaborate. I think it looks really good for what it is. Gyarados. This one where I could say I feel like it's a step in the wrong direction for the big guy. Um, I can say that pretty definitively, which is the first one I'd really say for one of these. Um, it's just not what this thing was looking for. And like, sure, it looks kind of cool on its own, but it's just such a drop in quality from Gyarados for me. It just looks so like fat now, and it's just not something that I was looking for in a mega of this guy. Aerodactyl. Um, Honestly, I'd say the same sort of thing. Um, it's just a bit too many just like random spikes, and like spikes weren't a main selling point of Aerodactyl's appearance in the first place. So the fact that they focused on it so much for the mega just feels weird. The Mewtwo's I can say I don't like. I like Mewtwo Y a bit more because it at least leans into what Mewtwo is supposed to be, which is like the insanely high special attacking Pokemon. But like still the fact that it's so short and the super long like tail on its head is still really weird. And this design takes a Pokemon which is supposed to be like really sleek, and in a way still kind of is, and it just makes it just like scales of the bulk. And I think it looks quite bad like that, honestly. Ampharos. Ampharos is a pretty solid design. I won't say it's specifically better or worse than normal Ampharos, but and the fact that it becomes a dragon is weird. But I think the hair, it fits. It feels more like a different design than like a better or a worse design. Like comparing the two, it's like I could see you just choosing either one to like more, like for whichever reason. Like if you prefer Ampharos without the hair or the tail, or that specific tail at least, then that's fair. But I could also see liking this one more. It just makes a lot of sense. Mega Scizor is going way up there. I really like Mega Scizor. I think it's sick. Um, I like it more even than regular Scizor, probably. Just got the really cool claw hands, like they're almost like scissors, like actual like scissors. Um, and it really looks kind of like a samurai to me, honestly. Like with how they've designed with how they've designed its body, like these weird gray parts going off of it, like the gray accent on like the head makes it look like a samurai, a helmet and like armor, and I think that's sick. Mega Heracross is kind of weird. Every time I look at this, it just feels like I'm looking like something with like its head split open and like I'm looking at the brain, and that's not really a pleasant sight for me. Still better than all these, I'd say though. Houndoom is also another great design, taking the Hellhound and making it look even more like something straight out of hell makes sense. It's got a lot more of like these bone-like protrusions coming out of it, and it's even bigger and more menacing. Plain and simple, just a quite an improvement. Um, Tyranitar looks kind of dorky like this. Like this is not menacing, in my opinion. It just feels like they added ex like 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 stuff spurting out of it just for the sake of it. Not spurting, that's not the right word, but you know what I mean. It's just stuff like is growing out of it for no reason, and it doesn't make it look any better. It just makes it look kind of weird. The Hoenn starters. I do really like all of these actually. I would say that Subtile is the best one probably. We'll put it like all the way up there actually. Blaziken can go somewhere like here probably, and Swampert. We'll put it there too. I know a lot of people don't like Mega Swampert because it makes it look too top heavy, but maybe this is just because I used it when I first played it on my Ruby Alpha Sapphire. But I think it quite works. I think it's just supposed to be like a big bulky Pokemon. And like I wish they beefed up the legs a little bit, but I'm really glad they all strengthen the outs arms. And it always looks like it's like pounding the ground when it uses like Earthquake, and I think it feels really sick to use. Um, Mega Blaziken is just a refined version of Blaziken. Not much I really need to say about that. It just like looks like a better version of Blaziken, and I like that. You got the flames pouring off its like arms, which is sick though. Um, wish it didn't have speed boost though. That's God, I hate that ability. It's too broken in my opinion, but what do you do? Um, Sceptile. I mean, it just adds like a bit. Like going down the back, it's got like the yellow parts now and some red, but the tail is obviously the big part. I like that's just swinging around a big tree. I think it looks really cool, and I'm glad they went with that for the design because there are definitely a lot of ways they could have flopped with those three, but I think it really works out. Gardevoir is an excellent one as well. It just fits for the Pokemon, even though it's supposed to be a knight. Um, I don't know. I feel like when they went into the fairy um, attribute for Gardevoir, I feel like it makes sense to give it more of like a dress sort of visual, which is almost kind of what people saw with it anyway. If the internet has anything to go off of, but yeah, I think the design really works here. Sableye. I mean, it's just Sableye with a big gem, right? Like it's pretty good. Like it makes sense that Sableye just has a big gem, but I mean, it is just Sableye with a big gem. Mega Mawile is another one that feels kind of weird. Um, they make it look even more like it's wearing clothes now, which doesn't work in the same way that does with Gardevoir. Because Gardevoir looks like a big wedding dress, whereas Mawile just sort of has like pink on it and like more flowy pink. Um, and then the double mouths is cool and all, and a natural progression, but like it just makes it feel weird. Like looking at the image now, even like the back jaws don't even look real. They look like a reflection or something of the current jaws. It just doesn't come together as well as I think it's supposed to. Mega Aggron is pretty cool. I'll put it at the top of great. It does look a bit clunky in some ways, which is what's stopping me from putting it in excellent. But otherwise, I think the idea of putting it in like a giant suit of armor just makes sense for the Pokemon. That's supposed to be a big, like, tanky thing. So, I like it. Um, Metacham is already a bit of a weird Pokemon, so it's hard to say, like, where I put this. I think I'll put it in decent. Um, but, like, yeah, the design is kind of weird in the first place. But, like, I do like the idea they went with it, because, like, they had the additional, like, arms. Like, I guess they're meant to be, like, psychic arms that are like, created. And the headpiece is pretty nice, but yeah, it just was building off of a poor template, in my opinion. Or a relatively weird template, anyway. Mega Man Trick. Sometimes I see this and it's a bit much, but usually I generally really like the design. Um, it already had like a really sharp look, but now with like this giant thunderbolt, it makes it look even more sharp, and I think it really works for the design of the Pokemon. I have pretty much exactly the same thing to say about Sharpedo, although I will say I like it a bit less. Um, I should put that out a bit more just because it has those weird spikes off it, which again, same with Aerodactyl, just doesn't feel like they make sense there. But what are you gonna do? Camerupt is another thing which makes it feel like it's meant to be wearing clothes in a way for some reason. At least from how I look at it, like the fur just sort of does look like a dress, and I like that there's a full-on volcano on the back of it. But compared to a normal camera, it just feels like there's like weird stuff going on here. Mega Altaria, the big fluffy cloud bird, becomes even fluffier, and I think it works out pretty well. If I was told that Mega Altaria was going to be getting a Mega Evolution, I would expect something basically exactly like this. It's just bigger and it has bigger clouds. That's it, but that's all it needs. It works out quite nice given the original Altaria already looked good. Mega Bayonet is a great improvement on actual Bayonet. Normal Bayonet is like pretty good design, but this is like exactly the direction I'd want them to go with a Mega Bayonet because there's just so much more detail here. And the pose it's in really makes it look natural, I guess. It's hard to say, but like this looks like a pose that a Mega Bayonet would be in if it was like trying to scare someone or like attack someone. Just looking down at them from above, it just descends down onto them, and that's what I see from it. Mega Absol is also great. I'll put it like there. Just gets like some fur on there. The horn like grows, I think, and the wings on the back of it, and the hair on the top. I think overall, just like Absol's already a really sick Pokemon, and this just makes it look even better. Yet another case of that. Salamence. A lot of people don't like this design, but then a lot of people don't like normal Salamence, and I do. So, or at least they don't like really like Salamence, and I do. Um, I think it's like a pretty good design. Definitely not better than the normal one in my opinion, but I think it still looks sick and menacing. Like imagine this thing soaring overhead, and you just see like its shadow on the ground, and you look up and you see it, like with the light behind it, the light of the sun or the moon. Um, One thing I don't like about this one though is that this is one of the Pokedexes where entries where it really like emphasizes how much pain it's in during Mega Evolution. I think that's so dumb of a concept. That's one of the things I don't like about Mega Evolutions is that it canonically causes pain to the Pokemon, and I think that's stupid. I think there's no reason why a bond made of friendship should force the should force one of the should involve one of the friends forcing the other to go through pain. It just doesn't really work for me. Making Mitagross is amazing. Just takes what it had as legs and makes it arms and makes it float. Makes the X on its face even bigger and golden, and just really, really makes sense for what it's trying to do. Mega Latios. I like the design, so I'm going to use Latios to say that I like the design, because I think it works for the Pokemon. But I don't like that they're basically identical, so I'm going to use Latios to represent that I don't like that they're. This represents that I like the design. This represents that I don't like how the design is the exact same for each of them. Mega Rayquaza is amazing. Do I even have to elaborate? No, about that there, because this one's a better design, but this one is a better improvement. So I think I hold that a little bit higher. But this one is just amazing. Rayquaza looks fantastic. Normally, he's already a 10 out of 10 Pokemon. But but this one just like it looks so much more menacing. It's got like the weird orange like lashes going on around the side of its body, the blades on its mouth, the like fan things going out of its back and out of its sides and stuff. Which I think it already has in the original design, but I think it just looks this look even better here. Like these on the back almost look like wings even. It's just such a great design across the board. Mega Lopunny is a good design. To protect myself from the internet, I will not expand much further, except to just say that it's a good design, really. Like a Garchomp, I don't think you look better than normal Garchomp, but you do look pretty sick. It's just a shame that you get worse, technically, um, because you lose speed. That's like one of the main things is that you hit hard and are fast. Um, but I think the design itself is pretty cool. Mega Lucario is another example of a Pokemon. A Pokemon does something, and then the Mega Evolution just makes that thing, does that thing, and makes it better. And it does not do it in a way that's overwhelming. It just does it in a way that's really cool. Like it expands what Lucario already looked like it was wearing, and like makes it into like a full-on cape sort of thing. And then it's got the red and the red extensions on the end of its body. It makes the hair sort of stuff even longer, and then the lines going across its body to really accent to accent all the colors that's got going on. It just looks really sick. Abomasnow already looks like a tree that's the Abominable Snowman, and then Mega Abomasnow takes that and again expands the tree part. Maybe not so much the Abominable Snowman part, but you know they couldn't really keep both that well for the Mega, I don't think, or at least not in a way that would really be an improvement. So I gotta respect this one. Um, it just looks good. Um, it's not that big of an improvement in my opinion, because Abomasnow already looks sick. Um, but that's not the sole indicator because stuff like Rayquaza is way up here. But it does just look really cool and menacing. Um, it's on like all the fact that it's on all fours and it's still massive is just by itself such a huge thing that I'm shocked works as well as it does. I'm gonna have a mint. Mega Gallade is a great design. Um, I think I always go back between it and Lucario. I think I like Gallade more at the moment. The only weird part about its design is how much white is here. Although I guess considering how much was in Gardevoir's, it's not too different there. But yeah, a lot of great stuff going on here. Um, Again, like I said with Lucario, the capes make everything cooler. That's just an objective fact. And the blade arm just growing in size and getting cool red accents just makes this thing look really awesome. I don't know, it's just the most mid one of all of them. It's just it didn't need one in the first place. I don't know why they chose this Pokemon from Gen 5 as the only one from Gen 5 to get one. But it like changes color and gets like wings for ears. Cool, I guess. Mega Diancie is cool, but I think it's a bit much. Um, Again, this one goes to the extent where it takes Pokemon that kind of looked like it was wearing a dress and made this is like a full on like wedding dress, like even more than Gardevoir's. And it has like all the crystals, which represent like all the chandeliers I get and stuff. I guess it just feels like there's a lot going on here, and a lot more than there really should be. Um, Same sort of thing with Steelix, because it's got like the weird floating dirt around it or the rocks, the big like extensions on its face, which look like a beard almost, and then like the big glowing crystals which came out of nowhere. Um, yeah, it's just not like a great design, but it's a pretty good one, all things considered. Mega Glalie is awful. This thing looks so bad. The fact that it's like has that weird stuff around his mouth like a beard, it just looks really bad. And that's like that's like the only really thing I have a problem with. But that's the only thing they changed. That's the only thing I can judge it off of, except Glalie original design. But Glalie already meant to be ugly, and the beard thing just makes it look even more ugly. At least the original Glalie looked like good. God, it's such a disappointment. Primal Kyogre and Primal Groudon. These are both great. Such simple design changes. I'll put Groudon a bit lower probably. Such simple design changes, just basically making them bigger, slightly changing like the colors, and having like the big yellow symbols and like glowings going across them. But I think that changes work extremely well. Just make them look so menacing in comparison to their previous versions, and I am all here for it. Alright, now that we've got to this point, time to move on to part 2, which is the Gigantamax versions. Not as many of these, so this one will go quite a bit faster. And we will start again with the Kanto starters, because they had to just give them to the Kanto starters again, because they didn't have enough already, especially Charizard, you know. You know what they say, Charizard never has enough of anything. Um, Charizard just looks like Charizard with flame wings, and that's like pretty lame, honestly. I don't really like Venusaur's either. Um, it growing over like the front of it, just it covers a lot of the design, and I don't really like it. I don't like that it covers that much of the design, just because they decided they wanted the plant to go over it. Blastoise is sick though; it looks really intimidating, and the cannon's going straight out of its back as its back is towards you, and it's looking over its shoulders. It's really intimidating. Butterfree is. I'm gonna move the Butterfree is pretty good, I guess. Its wings just really get bigger, and that's all that it is. That's all it needs to be. Chunky Pikachu is top of excellent. This might be the best Mega Evolution they've had. Chunky Pikachu is way better than normal Pikachu, and I will fight anyone on this. Um, so reverting back to Chunky Pikachu is just a complete improvement in my opinion. Mega Meowth. Man, they gave so much to Meowth too recently. They gave it in a Alola form, they gave it a Galar form, and they gave the normal form a Gigantamax. And that Gigantamax is like, okay. I'll also put it in decent. It's like a giant slinky, like cat thing. I know it's not like actually a giant slinky, but it reminds me of a slinky because of how just long and stretchy it is. Um, but it's like, it's fine. Um, Machamp is alright. The shadow covering its face is pretty is like kind of spooky, but at the same time it loses a lot of detail because of just how much of it is covered by just random like shades almost. Like there's a lot of weird shading stuff going on here. Um, like the orange going around to contrasted with like the like shaded black, and then there's like weird tufts of the light purple. And I just realized it has blue feet. Like, what are we trying to do here with Machamp? That just doesn't really make sense. Gengar is another really good one. It feels like one of those like haunted house things that you'd find at like an amusement park, not an amusement park. Um, like one of those things where you just walk in and it'll have like a. It has the same sort of vibe to me as the as like the mirror tunnels or whatever, where you just walk through and you see all the weird proportions of yourself in like the mirrors. Like it feels like a fun house kind of thing. And considering it's like a more fun type of ghost thing, I feel like that kind of makes sense. Mega Kingler is pretty great. The claw, which is the fighting aspect, is huge here, and it's really imposing, as all the Gigantamax forms usually are. But the beard is like a weird choice, but I kind of dig it. Just makes it feel like a bit more ancient, which most crabs already are, or a lot of them anyway. And like the spines on the legs and stuff, I feel like really pulls the design together really well. Um, Lapras is really good and really creative too, since Lapras is like the like it's already a Pokemon that's designed for people to ride on it, and so the back of it giving like cruise ship sort of vibes really makes sense. I forgot Lapras even had a Gigantamax form until now, but I think it looks really nice. Eevee's is also good. I'll put it like there. Um, it's just Eevee, but the tuft of fur around its neck is bigger, and it just works because Eevee's already cute, and the fur makes it look even more cute, almost. Maybe I don't know. It's hard to say, but either way, It does look really cute now. Still. Um, Snorlax is relatable. I also just want to lay on my back until literal vegetation grows out of it, and I can't move. I am that lazy, and I have no shame about it. Um, yeah, the design is just sort of silly, but that's what all Snorlax really is, so I don't really mind it. Um, which again, people will say, I'm sure people will say, "Oh, why do you like that this is silly, but you didn't really care about Mega Slowbro?" I don't know. All right, it's just it's just really weird. I cannot always describe my opinions in great detail about why one thing works, and while I'll complain about one thing, um, while saying another thing doesn't work, or, or while saying another thing does work. I don't know is the answer. Um, Garbodor. I think it works well. Just again, like compacts on the issue of like waste in our world, and just like building up and building up and building up. So the fact that it gets even bigger than Garbodor and becomes like this big thing, it almost feels like an in your face like notice, but like, hey, you shouldn't be, throwing this much stuff away or whatever. But you know, I feel like as a design it works, and that was a good direction to go in. Metal is a Pokemon. Um, um, I never really think of this thing. I guess I'll put it like here. It's kind of alright. Like that its arm is so bulky compared to like its legs, which are really sleek. Is kind of weird design choice. I just don't really think that much of Metal in the first place, so I have no thoughts in mind ahead going into this. Because I don't think about the normal Pokemon that much. I think even less about the Gigantimax version, because I forget it has one, because it didn't really need one. But here we are. The Galar starters. Um, I really like Inteleons. I think it's really funny, just giving it a sniper tower. Oh god, that's just such a silly direction to go in. I love it. Um, I don't really like Cinderace's design in this, but I like the giant ball of fire it has. I think it looks really cool. Um, the fact that the giant ball of fire like has its own face and stuff, it reminds me of a lot of Skeledirge's fire bird thing that it gets. So I'm gonna say I like this design. And I'll also say I like Rillaboom's design as well because it getting like the multiple arms to play all these like, or is it even getting multiple arms? I think those are just like the top of the quote unquote symbols. But either way, it getting like a big drum set, which is like the whole thing was that it was a drummer. Um, I think it makes sense. I think it looks pretty good, all things considered. At least better than normal. Because, I already don't care about these three Pokemon, so they can only go up from there. Um, Corviknight is really cool. Um, Corviknight's already a pretty big menacing bird, but this one, in this design where it has its wings at like full mast, is that like the term you'd use for it? But they're like fully extended. Like you get to see the full wingspan, and it's all glowing red with that Gigantamax energy. I think it looks really cool like that. Really cool and intimidating. Orbeetle is another amazing one. Just turning the psychic bug with a big brain into like a UFO is just such a great direction that they went in. Um, I like Orbeetle a lot more now than I used to. Like at the beginning, I didn't really even look twice at it, and I didn't really think I'd ever want to even look at one for my team. But if I ever go back through the game, there's a serious chance that I use an Orbeetle. Um, Especially if I don't remember how much I leveled up the shiny Orbeetle that I did get. So if I could trade that shiny one into a new game without it like being super overpowered, I might get to use a shiny one, and that'd be sick. Mega Dreadnought looks a bit big and clunky. It almost has like sort of like there's a problem with Empoleon, I'd say, where like the suit that it's wearing looks like super big on it, and I'd say that same issue is the same here. Heck, even the way its arms are out ahead of it right now, it almost looks like it's like stumbling forward and it's just like using its arms to like try to protect itself in case it like falls over. Colossal is just colossal but big. But I like colossal, so there we go. Hydrapple and app and Flapple, right? I think those are what they're called. Not no, it's Flapple and Appleton. I think. I don't like they are the same, so they'll probably go somewhere down here. We'll put like the bottom of decent somewhere because this is like a good design, I'd say. But again, like same sort of thing with the Laddies, Megas. They're just the same for no reason. I know it's like a split line, but come on, man. Sandaconda is also really good. Sand Tornado looks really sick. I'll put it a bit lower. Um, this was one that I actually did get to use a little bit because I mean mine didn't have it when I played through the game, but I gave it to it later on. Um, so I got to use it in some battles during the DLC, and that was really cool. Um, Toxicity. This one just feels kind of weird, honestly. Like I don't know why it's like splayed all on the ground like that. Yeah, it gives it like really frog-like vibes, which I don't feel like fits the Pokemon. But it's still like a good design. It's just have a lot of criticisms for it. Scorch is pretty much exactly what I wanted to see from it. The only thing that's keeping it from being number one is Chonkachu. And yeah, I feel like you can't blame me on that one because it's Chonkachu. Hatteran, I don't remember the exact details of the design, and it's hard to look at, but it looks like it's just Hatteran but big. In which case, it can still go like there. Um, Grimmsnarl is what your name is. Um, you look kind of worse than your normal version, I think. Um, Still look like pretty cool and menacing. Um, but I like the wider variety of colors that Grimmsnarl had, and Gigantimax Grimmsnarl is almost entirely black. And I'm not a big fan of that change, personally. I think it worked a lot better when it had more like Gremlin vibes and had like large contrast. But that's just me. Um, All creamy, I think this is. It's like a big cake, and I think it's really silly. So I'll put it like in between the two starters, I think, because I think it's like a fun idea for a Pokemon that's based around a dessert to become like this giant, like one of those tower cakes, like multi-layered and everything. Um, Caparaja is like down here. Its trunk is too big, in my opinion. It looks really blocky in a way that doesn't suit it as well as it does a lot of other things. Um, like it looks like just like a big rectangle with like a giant trunk on it and like feet with no legs. It just doesn't really go together all that well, in my opinion. Um, Something like that, I think. Duraludon being a skyscraper is cool. Um, it was already a skyscraper, but this one time it becomes like an actual full-on skyscraper. And good to see them sticking with it. They could have backed down when they saw that people that weren't. Well, I saw a lot of people criticizing the design, but they stuck with their guns, and I respect it. Um, Eternatus is really weird. I don't even know where to put this thing. um, I'll put it somewhere like towards the top of decent here. Maybe at the bottom. I'll put it at the bottom of great. That works. Eternatus is already a really weird design. But I do like the colors that is going on here. I like that it fully looks like a fully Eldritch sort of design. Um, like they really lean into that aspect of it. It looks Lovecraftian in a way, which is really sick. It's just again, there's too much going on here, which does fit in mind with Lovecraft. But But yeah, I think it works really well. But at the same time, it's just a bit overwhelming to look at. And then the Urshifus, which works for me because they are sort of mid for the same sort of reason that Machamp is. There's just a lot of weird shading stuff going on and weird coloring. I do like Rapid Strike more again because I prefer like the blue coloring here to the red one. But otherwise, again, like same sort of thing. Like I don't know why are they white now? Um, like this one even looks like a lot of gray. This one looks like almost entirely white, and I don't know if that's like weird shading or whatever. Like again, this is what I'm talking about. Like same sort of thing. Is that all three of these look weirdly shaded. And finally, the Hisui form tier list. Um, or just Pokemon from Hisui, I guess, because there are some Pokemon which are like Hisui forms, and some Pokemon which are like new evolutions and stuff. So let's just get right into it. This is a weird like sorting of this, but I guess this is like by generations would make sense, but it's just kind of weird. Um, Hisuian Growlithe is cute enough. The hair covering the eyes is a weird thing, and it's something I don't usually like in character design. Like show off your character's eyes, like it doesn't make sense to have it over it. Arcanine is amazing though. It looks like normal Arcanine, but better. Arguably better, I'd say. I don't know if I'd say it's definitively better, but like this one instance where the shading does work because it's a Pokemon that has a lot to do with like fire, and so it looks a lot more like smoky here because of this design. I think it's an improvement. Um, Still just as mediocre as your original forms. You're just made of wood this time, so I mean, there's not even really much to say about it, right? Is there? Um, they're just Electrode and Voltorb, but instead of being metal balls, they are wooden balls. Sure. Um, See, Mega Typhlosion is or not Mega Typhlosion. Hisuian Typhlosion is weird because it's an improvement in almost every single way for me. But like the facial expression it's making it looks like high off its mind, and it does not fit for me. I'm gonna put it in like decent. Because like I said, the different color of the fire looks really cool. Like I like the purple and red flames that it's got going on there, and the coloration looks a lot more unique than Typhlosion's. I think like the like bluish black going down its back, all the way to its tail. But yeah, otherwise it just does not work as well. I'm gonna move this to. I'm gonna move these, which are like evolutions of something that got a new form, to be right with it. I think that's all of them, but we'll get back to that. Hisuian Quillfish is it's just like it's sort of normal Quillfish, but just like black and purple, which are a cool color combination, but not a lot else going on there. At least Quailfish has like a different design aspects going on with the big spikes. Oh, I missed Sneasel. Hisuian Sneasel is pretty cute. It does have that gremlin energy that I still like about stuff. And then Sneasler is a pretty cool design upgrade that goes in a different direction from Weavile that I can appreciate. It's like big. I like the claws that extend out of the top of its hands, and a cool combination of colors, like a lot of dark blues and like black and like contrasted by a light pink, bright pink. Um, just look nice. Just look nice. These things look awful. I don't know why they decided to make them like weird like centaur things. Just stop. I'll say I like Palkia a little bit more probably, but this is really bad work in my opinion. I don't know why they did that to Dialga and Palkia. Who okayed this? Because those designs just look they're so bad in my opinion. At least this one looks sort of like an actual centaur. I can at least give it that sort of credit. What are they doing with Dialga? Why are the front two arms like massive and the back two are like tiny and thin as hell? It just doesn't really work. Unlike Hisuian Samurott, which is better than normal Samurott, I would say. Solid improvement. Um, Generally, giving things like black and with red aspects accents tends to be an improvement. And I like even the facial hair a little bit better on this compared to normal Samurai. Solid improvement. Um, I don't even know this Pokemon's name, but it's like some change to Lilligant. It's alright, I guess. I don't really care much about the normal Pokemon, even have much of an opinion on this one. Um, Normal Basculin's only definitive trait was the red and the blue. It's white now, so it doesn't even get that. It doesn't have big fangs either. Just kind of mid. Basculegion, I say the white one's okay, but the red one just adds a better accent color that I think just makes it stand out a lot more. Not that much more, but it just looks a lot. It just looks a lot better on it, especially on such a normally aggressive Pokemon. No, what are you talking about? Sorry, I just pulled up a tab on my computer on accident. Hisui and Zorua and Zoroark are the two best Pokemon that were introduced here by far. Arcanine's the only thing that even remotely comes close. They're just incredible. The Pokemon that are usually so dark, getting transformed into being a lot more elegant, and in Zorua's case, cute. Um, with the fur growing in these ways, like around their body and on the top of their heads, being like pitch white with red accents. Very much just makes these Pokemon look amazing. Um, like these are about as good of an improvements as you could have. I don't even know if I'd say they're improvements over Zoroark and Zorua, but gosh darn, are they close? Like they're just amazing. Braviary, I'd say, is another Pokemon in our excellent tier. It does look pretty cool. I mean, there's not. It's really furry. Um, I'm trying to think of what all they've changed aside from like the eye stuff, which is a cool like shade of purple and blue. They had like a fur on top of the head. That's about it, but that's probably about all they needed aside from just like changing colors and stuff. I think this design works out quite well. Sliggoo is kind of silly. Not gonna lie, I do kind of like it. Just it's sitting in a shell like that. It's just really funny. Goodra though I'm not as big of a fan of. Again, same thing with Typhlosion. It kind of gets like the high face. I don't know why they felt the need to make multiple Pokemon of this generation high. Um, but here we are, and it just ends up looking worse for that. It's not supposed to be even like terrifying or like threatening, but I don't get any sort of feeling of like this thing being epic at all, unlike normal Goodra. Avalugg looks kind of bad. The face being the face way the face is angled just doesn't work well for me. Avalugg is already kind of a weird Pokemon, and that just sort of like it looks like an overly chiseled jar, like again a beard, which doesn't make sense for the Pokemon for me. The Decidueye is a pretty solid design. Definitely not an improvement over the original, but hey, we'll take what we can get, and what we can get is apparently a pretty solid design. So, there you go. Weirdeer. It is pretty okay. Um, it's like fine. I don't really like Stantler at all. But like at least this looks more. At least the tail looks more like fur than like skin, and like they made like a beard and cut and made that look a lot more appealing in a lot of areas, like it being gray across the board as opposed to Stantler's weird color choice and the like yellow, almost goldish antlers. Looks pretty okay. Um, Cleavor is not as good as Scizor or Scyther, but it's a pretty welcome addition to the family. I mean, it just looks it just looks like a really solid Pokemon. I'd argue that doesn't really look like an evolution of those Pokemon, at least to some extent. But I think it does work as its own thing. And aside from the face being a little bit weird, I don't really have any complaints. The fact that its arms or axes are really cool, and the rock type is an interesting choice to take that line. Ursaluna is a Pokemon I didn't even know existed for a while, but since seeing it, it is pretty cool. I don't think I'll put one on my team or anything like that, but if they ever give Ursaring an evolution, Ursaluna is a really cool direction to take it. It's just like this big, kind of intimidating bear. Again, the face. I cannot take the face seriously, at least not with this artwork. Maybe in the game it's more intimidating. I don't know, but I can only go based off of what I'm given, and this does not look that intimidating. But the design itself is very much intimidating. This feels like a big, bulky bear that you would not want to be caught alone with. And finally, what even is this thing called? I forget. Either way, it just goes to the bottom. It's Landorus. There's Landorus, Tornadus, Thundurus, and then this thing. I don't know what it's called. Frankly, I don't care. It looks terrible. The face on both its Therian and other form are just really super awkward and annoying. Um, the hearts don't work on it at all because I don't know what I'm even looking at. Like the fact that the snake is the only thing covering this thing's like mostly nudish looking body. Uh, Again, I'll keep going back to the face because the face just looks that bad, and the pink does not work for it at all. Like I don't know what color I would have used. I probably would just rename the Pokemon entirely if they wanted to go for like a pink genie sort of form. Oh, God. This is definitely one of my least favorite Pokemon of all time. This form might be my single least favorite Pokemon form of all time. Again, if I throw all the Pokemon onto one tier list, I'll post a short of that, and you'll get to see what I think. But for now, I'm gonna have to call it there. So thank you all so much for watching. Uh, Hello, Tori. I didn't see your comment there. When did you leave that? Well, I don't know when you left that comment, but I do appreciate you. I guess I would have had it would have been a while ago, because I was talking about the Megas so long ago. It just blended in because my text is also green. So sorry I missed that. Um, but yeah, Megametric is good. I don't know whether you're saying that it's bad that it's good or bad that it's low. Um, but I think it's a really sick design. I just again sometimes look at it and think it's a little bit weird. But yeah, to continue with my outro, which got derailed by me being blind, I guess, because this probably would have been a little bit ago. It's just not telling me when you made the comment, so sorry about that. Um, Thank you all so much for watching. Got the links over there to the side. Got the link to the YouTube, the Twitch, the Discord. So go on ahead and go take a look over there. I'm glad to talk about any of this with any of you. And now that's the end of the series. So if anyone wants to see anything else for tier lists, either Pokemon or anything else, uh, I'll be happy to put them in this spot. But for now, I'm kind of have an opening. So let me know. I will talk to you later. Bye bye.